Good afternoon, everyone. It's David Schlotthauer here, and welcome back to another detailed tropical weather outlook and discussion for Thursday, September the 5th, 2024. So here's a look at the latest GOES 16 true color visible satellite imagery provided by Dr. Levi Cowan at tropicaltidbits.com. There will be a link in the description below this video, and we have 5 areas to watch, with a 6th area to watch potentially in the next few days as we are watching another tropical wave coming off of Africa. We'll discuss that briefly here in a second, but the first areas that we're really watching is off the coast of Texas and Louisiana. We have another area to watch over the northwestern Caribbean. We have another area to watch over here approaching the northeastern tip of the Caribbean and just to the north of Puerto Rico in the next couple of days. We also have another area roughly located about 70 degrees west by about 35 degrees north in latitude. So there's our disturbance. And then we have another area to really watch out here that's entangled up within the monsoonal trough, the West African monsoon, that is. And then, of course, another area that we have to really start watching, that is over Africa right now, because there is a lot of model support of that developing eventually down the line. So here's another satellite view of Africa here, courtesy of zoomearth.com. This is 100% for free, and there will be a link in the description below this video where you can check this out. So again, looking at the entire continent here of Africa, here is Saudi Arabia over here. Here is Iraq. Here is Egypt. Here's Libya, as well as Algeria. And then you have some other areas. Morocco's over here. And what we're looking at here is a tropical wave that is located pretty much in the center here of Africa. This is over near Nigeria right now, over the Sahel region, where we have a lot of this drier climate up here. We have a lot of rain that has fallen over here, so you can see and disseminate between the green areas of Africa and the drier areas. But it's this tropical wave right here that is showing some signs of potential tropical development once it moves over the main development region of the Atlantic. Of course, it's not going to develop now because this is over land, and land is not a favorite thing for tropical cyclones. But what we have going on up here is a anticyclonic wave break event that is beginning to show up. You can see another anticyclonic ridge over here over Saudi Arabia. We have another ridge over here, and what we end up seeing is more of a conducive environment where this wave is actually in, and it's going to actually end up able to get better organized. So once it moves over here over the east coast of the main development region, or the east portion of the main development region, it might thrive pretty well, and there are some early signs this actually might develop. Now, this tropical wave over Malé is not going to do a whole lot. This is actually going to curve northward and avoid coming out here into the main development region. And all what we have out here is that entangled trough that remains. And this whole pattern out here in Africa will be changing the overall skeptical of the rest of this Atlantic hurricane season. So now when we do take a look at our 7-day graphical tropical weather outlook from the National Hurricane Center in Miami, Florida, there are 5 lemons out there. That term really popular now on Twitter and also here on YouTube, the 5 lemons, the 5 yellow areas to watch. So, of course, the one near Texas has a 10% chance of tropical development. And then our second area over here, this has a 30%. This has the highest chances of tropical development right now in the next 7 days, with area 99L there located. And then we have another area. Let's actually go to just numbering this by order. Area number 3, basically in the east main development region. This also has a 20% chance of developing. So this has a low chance, so nothing too concerned about that. And this other area here, or actually number 4, that is, then we'll get to area 5, so 1 through 5 here. And then over the Bay of Campeche, we have an area to watch too, a 20% chance. That was the one that kind of gave us the scare that had at one point a 50% chance of tropical development, but that doesn't seem to develop at all. So we're really not going to focus a whole lot on this. maybe some disturbing weather over here over the Gulf of Mexico, but I'm not seeing a whole lot of big signals from the ensembles and deterministic forecasts that do illustrate we may have a tropical storm or any big event out there. But you just cannot take your back off of this. And then our last but not least area to watch right now is an area that is going to be moving to the north of the Puerto Rico area and also to the east of the Bahamas, like the Turks and Caicos. That has a 10% chance of tropical development. And last but not least, I know I just wanted to add this in. I'm going to circle this in orange because this really has my attention. That area to really watch off of Africa, not off of Africa now, but we'll soon do so in about 4 to 5 days. That's going to be the area that we're really going to have to watch. And I'm very sure right now, if model trends continue throughout tonight, we could have an area of interest on the NHC. So we may have 6 areas here. So now, taking a look at your detailed tropical weather forecast over the next 2 weeks here, we're going to look at one model at a time because I really want to make sure I am thorough, detailed, and honest with the information that I'm about to show you, because some of you are probably going to still disagree with my forecast here, and that's because models have not done a good job at all over the last couple of weeks at predicting these type of futures coming off of Africa. But this one that's coming off of Africa seems to show signs on the models that it might actually develop. So first of all, here's a look at the GFS model. Then we're looking at the Euro, the Canadian, and then the Icon model. And then we'll be looking at our spaghetti plots, our ensembles, the meat of this discussion. All right, so make sure you're paying attention, you're listening, and also if you need to take notes, you can do so. But also make sure you do share this because this is going to be some very important information. So now, this look at the next, by this afternoon, again, our 5 areas to watch are, I'm circling these in black, so you can definitely get an idea with what we're actually looking at right now, those 5 areas. Boy, I can barely circle 5 in before all of them start to disappear. This is a look at the precipitation forecast as well. So radar simulations here showing us where it could rain and where it might not be raining. And right now, even so we do not get a tropical storm or a hurricane over the Gulf of Mexico, there will be a lot of rainfall over Georgia, over, say, Alabama, Florida, southern portion there of Louisiana, and Mississippi. So keep that in mind. Even working its way into South Carolina. All this rain is going to lead to some significant flooding. You don't need a tropical storm or a hurricane to bring impacts. Mark Sedeth really covers this well in his previous videos, that you don't need a hurricane, a tropical depression, or storm to bring impacts. All you need is heavy rainfall and a lot of it to lead to flooding. All right, I really want to make it clear that it's not just about the hurricanes. It's not about me getting views or subscriptions here. It's all about impacts. Who is going to get impacted and why are you going to get impacted, right? So now going into day 2 here, this system over here that could clip the eastern or the northeastern seaboard, I mean barely moving into Maine, as well as Nova Scotia, this could end up becoming a subtropical storm. We will see about what the NHC does on that. May get a name. We're not 100% for certain about that right now. But boy, 5 areas to watch. One area is going to have to take the list of our F named storm, which would be Francine. Now out here, while there is not much development, all right, with these 2 systems, now some of you, again, it's highlighted by the NHC, there's not a lot of ensemble model support of those developing, all right, but you just don't know, right? Things could surprise us, but a bit too soon to see these 2 go off. Instead, and also those are a little too far to the north, but this little guy right here coming off of Africa, I'm going to put a lot of arrows on this. This has my attention, and it should have your attention as well. And some of you are going to say, fear-mongering? If you guys think I'm fear-mongering, tune out. I don't care, because I'm going to show you with what I've seen in the last several model runs. And what I've seen is this tropical wave right here coming off of Africa really does have my attention. And even Mark Sedeth talked about it in his video today, that he's watching this wave as well. So that's why I'm also watching it too. Now let's see what this does. So if we go over the next 7 days, this is within the scope of the NHC outlook. So it doesn't surprise me by tonight or by tomorrow sometime we get a 6th area to watch. 6 areas, folks. That's a lot of areas to keep an eye on from the NHC. All right. And so it's this area that we're concerned about that could develop. Now, if this is going to be a fish storm, we're not even worried about that right now. We're not even worried if this is going to be a fish storm, if this is going to go west, if this is going to be a hurricane or not. What we're looking for is signals, consistency from run to run. So now, when we go out to day 10 here, this becomes a formidable tropical-like system. Tropical system, in other words, 979 millibars, and then it could continue to strengthen down to 949 millibars. Now, a lot of you are like, whoa, you're going way too far out in time. 306 hours, David. This is fantasy land. This has got to be a fantasy storm that the GFS likes to put up with, right? What I'm about to show you is clear evidence that the GFS could be, in fact, onto something pretty significant out here. All right, and after all, I want to make it clear, it is the 17th of September here, folks. We are about in that peak of the hurricane season. So I don't think the GFS is doing fantasy land here. I really don't think so. And wait until I show you the Euro, the Canadian, the Icon models, the ATHIS model, which is the European Artificial Intelligence model. The only one not picking things up. It has not done really good at all. People claim it's doing really good. People claim it. Other people claim it's not. But my point here is, what I'm about to show you towards the very end of the video will make sense on why the GFS is showing what it's showing. All right, so now what does this mean from our run from 0-6Z? It did not show much. It didn't show much hardly at all. But what did the 0Z show us yesterday? There you go. 963 millibar system just to the north of Puerto Rico. What about the 18Z run from yesterday? 954. What about the run before that? What about this little system? Actually, oops. Let's close that out. So, yes, this is run number 1. Okay, that's run number 1, 2, 3, and 4th run. 4 out of 5 runs showing development. So that's why I'm going to really watch this. I'm not jumping the gun and saying, we are going to have a major hurricane or a hurricane out there. Development seems probable beyond the 16th and the 17th of September. And I've talked about that in previous videos, that we are going to flip things in the pattern here. The pattern's going to change. It's just because it's quiet for a month doesn't mean it stays quiet for a month, right? We're not sure if this is actually going to develop, but there are big signals that suggest that otherwise. So here's a look at the deep layer moisture plot. And as we go forward here in the model run, yeah, look at that. That is a big plume of moisture and thunderstorm activity. That monsoon or that ball of energy really be evident here on the GFS. And look at it. It really is within that moist atmosphere. This dry pocket of air is not infiltrating into the system. There's no northerly shear to shove that in. So as we go forward, you can see that it does develop because it closes off a moist pocket. And to be quite honest, this is going to be detaching itself from the intertropical convergence zone a little sooner, probably right when it moves off of Africa. So we are not seeing this tangled up bundle of energy that the models don't know what to do with, like what we're seeing right here. See, this is what we don't want to see on the models, with all this tangled up energy that the models don't know what to do with, versus what we have coming off of Africa here. All right. Am I concerned about this? Not quite yet. I am not concerned about this, but their signals are there that development is probable beyond the 16th and the 17th of September. Okay? This is what it looks like on a vorticity plot. That big black ball of spin at 8 or at 5,000 feet. All that rotation going on in the atmosphere really illustrates that this is what we look for. This is the DNA forensic science what we look for when it comes to tropical development, tropical storms, hurricanes, depressions, that energy, that ball of energy. And you can see it right here. If we go back over the Central African continent, you can see there is what it looks like. And if we go back right about here, there is the energy really well easily seen. If I can see it, the model can see it, we could have a big problem on our hands in the next couple of weeks. So now, looking at the European model now, what does the Euro show? Is it agreeing with the GFS? Well, we shall see. Guess what? It does begin to agree. Look at, now this is a little further north. This kind of makes things a little interesting. This kind of it comes off a little further north than what the GFS shows. By the way, if we go and look back at the GFS model, let's rewind it. The GFS has it over here, and the Euro has it a little further north. The launching point will be important. Does this go further west and impact the islands, or does it become our fish storm? But I'm not going to say if it's a fish storm or not. I'm not going to even say that right now. All we're looking for is those signals, and when we go forward out to about day 7, day 8, day 9, then day 10, the Euro is picking it up. So that's two models that we're showing, and if we go back to our 0Z run, it even picked it up a little bit. Not as strong, but it had a little bit of a tropical wave there. And if we go back to our 12Z run from yesterday, look at that. So that's going all the way back to the 12Z run yesterday. Okay, this was initialized September 4th, 12Z. Today is 12Z, September the 5th, and look at what it has. There you go. That's two models down. What about the Canadian model? All right, let's go forward in time. All right, so again, this area right all here, this shenaniganly looking tropical wave, nothing to be worried about. This all over here, all this mischief of rain, wind, flood concerns will continue over here across the deep south, but nothing that could be coming off of Africa that we may have to watch on our radar for a while. And you can see, look at, even the Canadian is picking it up, even a little further north on its launching point than what the European model shows. But that won't matter a whole lot. That's day 5. And look at, it goes further west, and look at, it develops. And guess what? There is more energy out here that could develop later on in the back half of September. So in other words, the atmosphere is going to get conducive, I believe, for the 17th, 16th-ish, and beyond. The Icon model, very similar as well with its production with the system. You can see it here coming off of Africa, showing that as well. So this is our fourth model, a deterministic forecast showing this. And boy, the Icon, I don't know even what it's on with these two systems. Boy, if these two develop, these could become named. And here's another one, and here's another one. The Icon, really aggressive with tropical genesis out here in the Atlantic, which probably is an overstatement based on most of our guidance. And then look what happens. Ooh, look what we got. Yeah, 7 to 8 days out, and look at the 12th of September, 2 days after climatology peak of the Atlantic hurricane season. And we might have a few areas out here to really watch. Not so much in the Gulf. I still don't believe that it's going to do much other than significant rainfall and flooding. This might be a productive system at developing eventually. And then, of course, this one has my attention. All right, for a number of reasons that I just mentioned in this video. Okay, now with that off my chest, I hope I discussed that very well, folks. I try my best at clearing the confusion up with you all on how to read models. We got to look at trends and consistency between each model run. Maybe the next run, the 0Z run tonight from the GFS may not indicate development, but that doesn't mean it's not going to develop. We got to wait for future model runs, okay? Average things out on consistency and trends, and ensembles are here to help you with that. Let's look at the European ensemble probabilistic forecast with the chances of tropical development. And what we have here, there is most certainly a chance that this tropical wave becomes a tropical depression more out in this area of the Atlantic, not coming off of Africa as a tropical depression. Not going to happen, I promise you that right now. But more in this area, we're really going to have to watch for tropical development, and I'm sure the NHC will be highlighting that in the next day or two. Now, what are the chances of this becoming a tropical storm? Well, guess what? There is a 50% chance that this becomes our next tropical storm out to 10 days. All right, now this could go downtrend or it could uptrend. And if we look at previous runs, we can see that was yet last night's 0-0 run, only a 20% chance. And then the run before that, 30% chance. And then the run before that, a 20% chance. So this is the highest chances that the Euro ensemble indicates that this wave might do something. And then maybe something over here over the western half of the Gulf of Mexico. If we get a tropical storm, I will be a little surprised because we're not in that favorable zone of development right now. A lot of sinking air, a little bit of shear, that shenanigans. And then we have our other area that we may have to watch towards Nova Scotia that also might get named. I think this up here probably has a better shot of getting named than our area over here in the Gulf of Mexico. But also this area too that we gotta watch. So now with that being said, here's a look at our spaghetti plot on our ensembles. Who likes to eat spaghetti? Let me know in the chat or in the comment section below this video, all right? So our spaghetti plot does indicate, look at all of the members here detecting this system in 5 days. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 lovely days, folks. We have pretty good confidence that there could be some tropical development once this emerges off of Africa. This disturbance right here, I am highlighting it. That's going to be the big one that we're going to have to watch. And then all the shenanigans over here, some models are justifying between a depression or a wave or a tropical storm. That is why I'm not really confident right now that this is going to become named over here over the western Gulf of Mexico. But this right here, on the other hand, and maybe another area eventually, man, this is just, it's changing. This, and this. Boy, if we can get 7 areas to watch, that is quite a bit of activity in the Atlantic. And I'll tell you something, wait until you see towards the very end of the video on the comparison what a week does. Day 7 shows here on our ensembles, yes, very strong signal. A lot of members picking this up on the Euro, all 51 members picking this one. And then, of course, our shenanigans still continuing out there across Gulf of Mexico and over the northwestern Atlantic. But that's not it. Look what happens. Look at the divergent here. So this theoretically could go this way, or this could actually turn back west and impact the northern Leeward Islands. Or all we know is that maybe this trends further west and a little bit further south. Not that I'm hoping that it happens like that. But again, in the early formative stage of development here with the ensembles. And so there's a lot to be worked out, a lot of hashed out data to come through from these models in days to come. And then look at now, the GEFS ensemble, more concerning, the more bullish ensemble showing this. So here's our development. These all move in this general direction. You can see a little bit of the coverage. And then going out to about day 15, day 20, no, about day 15 to 17, you can see, look at some of our members over here indicating possibly our next named storm. I'm not going to say if it will become a hurricane or a tropical storm, but again, the signals, folks, let's move our heads around here and let's think about this, that okay, the ensembles are showing something out there in the main development region eventually in about 5 days. Will this go further west and impact areas like maybe the eastern seaboard, the Dominican Republic down here in the Caribbean, or will this get into the Gulf? We just don't know. We got to think about this one because guess what? Our disturbance that is in the Caribbean now, remember all the models were showing that, oh, maybe this is going to turn out to sea or maybe this is going to go this way. Instead, nope, it's going this way. So that's why we cannot rely on ensembles exactly where this is going to go. We got to look at signals. Okay, I hope that clears out the confusion here. Now let's kind of observe what the atmosphere is going to do in the next couple of weeks here outside of our deterministic and our ensemble forecast. So let's examine this. This is right now. So this is from the 5th through September of the 9th. And look at all this green motion over here is upward motion. So this is upward motion over the West Pacific or the Western Pacific, where we have that typhoon Yagi going on. That thing is nasty. Thing is really strong. And then we have all of this sinking motion happening over the Atlantic. All of this downward motion, suppress phase. That's why we are not seeing any development despite the 5 lemons that we're seeing out there. And this continues at least through the 14th of September. Now remember the 16th of September that I had in mind. That's because a convective coupled Kelvin wave, that's these blue lines that you're seeing on top of a favorable MJO output here over the Atlantic, could really spark a lot of activity. And that is why the Euro, the Canadian, the Icon, and the GFS indicate that that tropical wave that is over Central Africa, right here, this area, let me circle it in so you all don't lose me, right there. That's the area that the models are picking up on. All because of this favorability coming to the Atlantic beyond the 16th of September, probably even the 15th and beyond, and really gets big time active perhaps by the 20th through the 24th of September. And that's what we're really concerned about, boy. This could get really nasty perhaps. And get this, it's not just me talking about this. Look at Danny Morris. The Atlantic Basin will get an opportunity to make up ground for the paltry of inactivity from August 20th through the September 10th period with multiple convective coupled Kelvin waves. That's this area right here in blue. It's moving over the Atlantic, and guess what? The European ensemble and its deterministic forecast indicating a couple of upward pulses of convection moving over the Atlantic during the same time frame. That is, my folks, very important. So we are seeing signs that this unfavorable period will quickly come to a close by the 14th or the 15th of September, as we can see here with all of this upward motion. All right, and get this, okay, transversing the basin the 3rd, 4th week of September with the MT weakening, the ITCZ shifting south, climatology and stability improving as air temps cool. Activity should quickly pick up. So I'm going to put a link to this guy, Danny Morris. You did a really good job at explaining this, showing us where the upward motion is going to be, and it looks like it's coming. Now, before I head off, I did want to show you all this really quickly of the comparison that just a few days makes. This is Tuesday, September 3rd, literally 2 days ago. 2 days ago. And look at, we only had 2 areas to watch. We all remember this little shenanigans type messy system over the Caribbean. We thought, oh, it's going to develop. But guess what? The background state, not favorable for that thing to develop. But guess what? Let's go forward in time. 3 areas to watch. 3 lemons to watch. 4 lemons to watch. And then watch this. 5 lemons, folks. 5 areas. Just 2 days later, we went from 2 to now 5, and now we're about to introduce a 6th one, possibly coming off, or will likely come off of Africa. And I'm betting my promises right now with this video that we are going to have an area of interest out here from the NHC, either by tonight or by tomorrow. It may be a couple of days for all we know, but I'm very confident that's going to be a really big area that is going to be highlighted very soon. But anyways, if you found this video very helpful, very informative, and very honestly with a lot of detail, please consider subscribing, folks. If you did enjoy today's tropical weather outlook and discussion for Thursday, September the 5th, 2024. Again, I'm not doing this just to get views, just to get subs. We really got to watch. We really do now with that wave coming off of Africa, because as I just showed you all, that MJO, that Madden-Julian oscillation, which is leading to super typhoon or whatever you call it, typhoon Typhoon, can't even get my words straight. Typhoon Yagi in the Western Pacific. That upward motion will be moving over the Atlantic over the next week or two. And believe me, if things work out perfectly, which I hope they don't, we could really be seeing a lot of activity out there in the Atlantic. More than just 5 areas to watch. We may have 2 or 3, maybe even 4 named storms to end out September. Who knows, right? That's why we are now resuming daily updates on the tropics right now, as long as this remains a big threat. Please subscribe if you haven't already, hit the bell notification icon, share this, and leave a like as well. I will be back with you more tomorrow.